Joining me is sassy singer and songwriter Lira, well known as Lira. Welcome, Lira.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm excellent, thank you.
Good, thanks. So you are a very firm believer in social change and giving back. So tell me more about your involvement in charity work, especially the Change Forever campaign and what it means to you.
You know, I don't even like the word charity. These are just avenues that I use to make a difference in as far as I'm capable. The Change Forever campaign encourages people to be part of the solution. So, you know, as opposed to looking to somebody else to resolve the problems, why don't you be the change in your own environment? So, you know, we welcome all kinds of ideas and initiatives from young people, young and old, really. And we try to get people involved in making a change, even in a small way. And the idea is to make it trendy, is to make it like the norm, you know, that you make social issues your problem. You get involved. So that's really the concept behind it. And we've done various things. One of our main focuses is food gardening, because we find this is a very sustainable way of alleviating poverty. There are a lot of female farmers throughout Africa, in fact, obviously in South Africa as well. I've visited a few in Khayelitsha as well. And some of these ladies sell, you know, they harvest, they sell to tuck shops in schools and in surrounding areas, and they're able to sustain themselves fully in this way. So we then would support with things like getting manure. Obviously, being in Cape Town, the sand isn't very fertile. It isn't in fact fertile at all. So they need to cultivate the sand and get manure and prepare the soil. So we support in ways like this, and this is throughout the country.
And what other social change initiatives are you currently involved in?
What I work on mostly is education, just because I feel like it's the most, it makes sense to me as a long-term solution to poverty. So I have a few students that I get through school, and I also support their student sponsorship program, and we have over 500 students all over the world, from primary school, high school, right up to university. We have students in some of the best universities around the world. These are previously disadvantaged students that that excel academically, and so we ensure that they get into the best schools possible, so they can be future leaders. And the deal is that they pay it forward. So once you graduate, you then would mentor somebody else. And it's important for us to breed that kind of culture, that when we make it, we ensure that we pull others up along with us.
Wow, that's a very, very great value. And I mean, what are some of your major goals and what keeps you going?
I think on a personal level, this year I was celebrating 2013, I was celebrating my first decade in my music career. And considering that I quit a full-time job to do this, and I've had such
As an accountant?
Yeah.
Mention that.
Yeah, as an accountant. And I've had such a fulfilling journey and experience, and I've really lived out all my dreams. And this blows my mind, and I realize that, you know, it's just about careful planning and the willingness and persistence to actually go for it that will result in you living out your dreams. And so I encourage this, you know, that if you have a burning desire, because it won't leave you alone, you know, at some point it really overtakes your very being, and you can't help but pursue this. And I think it's just to encourage anyone that wants to pursue their passion to know that it's not easy, but it's certainly worth it. And I've put some of the things that I've learned in my process, in my journey, in my book, Making Her Story. And I think also when I reflect on that, I feel like some of my biggest mission is to become all I can be, and to help others become all they can be.
So wait, give me a little bit more background on your book, Making History. What's the inspiration behind the title, and what is it about?
It's really a play on the word history, and we've all lived out history, and I feel like, for me, titling it Making Her Story is I'm creating my story as I go along. There was no formula to my journey at all, and you know, just everything. And I say we because I couldn't have done all I have on my own, but I had very specific things that I wanted to achieve, and I was able to achieve those things. So I've thus created my story. I've literally created my own life in the process. And that'll be history in the making, if you will. And I think also in the process I've defined what a young, successful African female artist looks like. There's now an idea to aspire to for us young ones. We haven't had that, you know, people will tell you musicians die paupers, or, you know, we have to be sleazy and drug users and all of these things, and that's not the case. And also I just felt the world dictates what African beauty is, and I wanted to define that for myself and know that I could go anywhere in the world and you know, be recognized as a beautiful African just for who I am. So some of these values I've been able to live and be celebrated for, and that's a great feeling.